Joining us now is Senator Jeremy England. He represents District 51, serves as the Vice Chair of Economic Development. Is that right, Senator?
Yep. Well, I'm Jud B, Vice Chair.
Okay. Well, we got it wrong here in our little write-up, but that's okay. I think we had this last time, and you corrected me on it, so I appreciate that. But nonetheless, thanks for joining us today. You down in Jackson County today?
I am down here in Ocean Springs, hoping it quits raining so I can get a baseball game in this afternoon.
Man, we're just watching that. It has been constant since we got up this morning here in central Mississippi, and it's still, Rhino, what'd you say, 100% till 3 o'clock, right?
Yeah, and then it drops down to the measly 97%.
Oh, gosh. Well, appreciate you joining us. Just a couple of weeks removed from Sine Die down there at the Capitol. What'd you think about the session?
I think we had a really good session. This was my first, campaign year to be in session, and of course we always hear that it's not a busy year heading into campaigns, but we bumped that this year. We hit the ground running in January, and I think we did a lot of good things. And actually took care of a lot of things this past session.
Anything in particular kind of stands out that you would deem as very positive legislative accomplishments?
Yeah, plenty, actually. I do think that we did a really good job funding transportation, the Department of Transportation, to do infrastructure upgrades around our state. That's going to be something that's going to pay off in the long run. These are one-time type costs, and after speaking with Director Brad White at the Department of Transportation, this is going to allow them to kind of clear the backlog of projects that they've had waiting, kind of sitting on go for a long time, and allow other projects to move up into the hopper and get rolling. I'm really proud with what we did there with that. I think that we made a lot of good decisions when it comes to the city of Jackson that I hope that we see paying off, and that we can get our capital city back in good shape. I hope that we can do that working with the local leadership there. But regardless, we've got to do something there, and I think we've done that. We've got ourselves on the right foot to clean up crime, to help with the water situation, and to maybe get our capital city rolling. But just tons of good things that came out of this session. That's just a few.
Yeah, of course, now the capital city is drowning in trash. So, in garbage. Might the governor call a special session to address that? I honestly don't think so, but it's a question that's been asked here on the C Spire text line. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm not sure what the governor would do on that. I know that he's there. He can't be liking the smell and the looks around the capital city there, but if he calls us back, we'll come up and do what we can. That's our job, and I'll be glad to pack a bag and head on up there and see if we can help it. I hope we don't have to do that. I hope local leadership can kind of break that dam that seems to be holding them up from reaching some sort of an agreement and get it done. But if we get called up, I'll be glad to come up there and see if we can help.
Yeah, well, yesterday, a rather contentious press conference was held by the mayor of Jackson, Mayor Chokwe Lumumba, and he called out certain members of, without calling them by name, certain members of the city council, and just seems to continue to point to racism as being the root cause for the fact that the citizens don't have reliable garbage pickup. Just seems like we got to push past that, Senator, and really focus on what the true root cause core issues are and getting a contract done. And I don't want to dwell on that, but one thing after another in our capital city. Not good for the state overall.
That's right. Like you say, it's our capital city. When people from New York or Atlanta or Los Angeles or other places think about our state, they think about our capital city, and we've got to get it under control. Look, ideally, we don't want to just clean it up and keep people from leaving the capital city. We want people moving back and businesses moving back, and they're not going to do that if they can't come in and have their garbage picked up or have clean water and utilities flowing through their faucets. So that's something we have to deal with.
Yeah, absolutely, no doubt. So, what do you think about what happened in the Tennessee Capitol with the the protesters essentially in committing incursion of the Capitol and taking it over, certainly stopping all the proceedings. And now we've got a couple of reps who were expelled and then readmitted. Is this something you think maybe could happen in the state of Mississippi's Capitol?
I guess it could, but I don't expect it to. I think that our leadership, I think the lieutenant governor and the speaker would have gotten control of that situation a lot quicker than maybe what happened in Tennessee. As a matter of fact, I know at one point in time when we did have a very lively group in the gallery, they were gavelled down, and the lieutenant governor said, look, we'd love for you to be here. This is your capital, but we've got to conduct business, and if you're not going to allow us to do that, we're going to have the sergeant of arms come up and ask you to leave. And of course, they quieted down and allowed us to do our job, which is what we need to do. We're tasked to legislate and go up there and do that for our constituents. And look, I made a comment about this, that if I were to particularly go up to the well, if I wanted to protest something, I went to the well with a bullhorn and disrupted our legislative session for 45 minutes, I would expect to be expelled from the Mississippi State Senate, because we've got to have rules, we've got to have decorum, and we've got to be able to do our jobs. It's a very important job that we do there, and we just can't have protesting from the floor like that. And I hated to see that in Tennessee, and I hope they can get that under control.
Yeah, I agree. And of course, citizens, they have the right in our country to redress their political leaders. That's embedded in the framework of the founding of our nation and our Constitution. But it's not productive when you just seize the Capitol where the laws are made, where the legislating is going on, where you're trying to conduct the people's business. That's really not achieving anything and likely not to get the attention and the result you're looking for.
Yeah, it's not. And look, Gerard, I've gone to peaceful protests before. Back when we had the mandate, we were off site, and I made my voice heard, and others were doing that. And I know I have colleagues that will step outside of the Capitol sometimes and discuss things with different groups. So we can participate in those, and we can address the people, and we can address groups in a way that's productive and lets our voice be heard, but not in a way that disrupts and shuts down the legislature while we're in business. That's not what we need to do. And look, it's the same thing if it were to happen in a courtroom. You don't want to just go up in front of a judge and just yell. The judge is going to kick you out and hold you in contempt, because we've got to have decorum and process when it comes to our rules and our laws in this state. And if we lose that, we've basically lost everything in this country, because it's our laws and it's our system of government that holds up. It's our foundation for our entire country. We can't lose that.
Yeah, absolutely. Can't have a functioning economy, can't have a functioning society if you can't have order in our government and in our lawmaking and our legislating. So a couple of things that noticeably did not happen in the session. I think top of that list is the ballot initiative, the citizen ballot initiative process. Couldn't get the Senate and the House on the same page on that. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't know anybody that's not disappointed that we didn't get that done this year, but it just didn't happen. We moved closer, I think, in discussions. It's something that I think we need to get back. We need to have that. The citizens need to have that. It's a constitutional right, as a matter of fact. So we need to work that out. But we need to be careful with how we do it. We can't just rush back into this, because if we do, we're going to see outside money dumped into our state on certain issues. We're going to lose our constitutional republic system of government potentially if we allow for the legislature to be bypassed in certain things. But at the same time, that's the way the people can get our attention. If we're not doing what the people of Mississippi want, they need a ballot initiative process. So it will be revisited. I know that leadership in both chambers was disappointed we couldn't get something done, and I look for us to jump right into that as soon as we get back in Jackson.
Yeah. Well, it certainly comes up here on the text line, which is a pretty good, I think, sample of the sentiment of the citizens across the state. Folks think they have the right to go to the ballot box and make law, essentially, that their lawmakers aren't getting done within certain reasonable parameters. We got a break right now. Can you hang around? Got some other stuff to talk to you about as well.
Yeah, certainly, Gerard.
Great. Senator Jeremy England is our guest on Middays. We're coming. Our guest is Senator Jeremy England, just talking about the 2023 legislative session. So didn't get a ballot measure through, unfortunately. I think that's something that people were really looking to be cured by our legislature, but we couldn't get the House and Senate to agree. I guess the primary point of contention was the number of signatures required to gather to validate a measure for placement on the ballot. And there's a big delta between what the Senate seems to want, what the House wants.
Yeah, I think that's right, Gerard. I think that's kind of the holdup is, we don't want to make it a number that's so far out of reach that it's basically just in the law but not accessible. And we also don't want it to be a number to where we get things on a ballot initiative that really don't have much support. And that's kind of where we are. I think there was some movement, but just not enough to get us done there in the last few days of session. Surely
this will come up again next year, don't you think?
Oh, yeah, I certainly think so. This isn't going to go away until we fix it. And I think we'll get there. I know I've said that several times on your show. But every time I get a chance to talk about it, look, it's something we need, but it's also something we need to make sure we get right whenever we codify this process.
Yeah, so we also something that was addressed somewhat in this legislative session was the healthcare industry in our state, which is struggling mightily from an economic perspective. We just had Dr. Mark Horn on the program about an hour ago. He, of course, is the chief medical officer at South Central Regional in the Laurel area. So this is the legislature saw fit to pass a few measures that I feel like we're good overall. There's a sustainability grant program where just dollars are going to go straight to the hospitals to help them out a little bit as they struggle financially. And then we've got a measure that would offset the cost of I think nurse training and nurse education, and then we've got some tax credits in that form, and then we've also got some student loan assistance. So just trying to boost the number of people entering the healthcare profession, getting trained, getting educated, and then hopefully staying here. And I think there's some strings in those bills that require that: stay here, work here, provide those services to Mississippians. And then we've got the bill that allows hospitals an easier path to consolidate when that makes sense. It's pretty much what we did, but we still have a problem in Mississippi. We still have, Singing River right in your back door just sold recently. Right. And Gulfport Memorial is one, a big operator there on the Gulf Coast, is also bleeding red ink. This problem isn't going away.
No, it's not going to go away, and I think my daughter, who likes to listen to Taylor Swift, may put it as putting a Band-Aid on a bullet hole. But we've done what we could this past year, and it's going to be an ongoing problem. It's going to be something we have to keep discussing, and I think it's important to note that one of the problems that we're facing is the way that healthcare is being delivered is changing. And the process and the overnight stays just aren't there, fortunately, right? I mean, you used to go in for a knee replacement and you might be in the hospital for a week or two, and now you could be home the next day or the day after that. And so you're not having those stays. So revenue is changing, and I think that what we've done with allowing hospitals consolidate may help that situation. We did give, I think it was between 100 and 105 million to various hospitals to try to help out with some of their revenue situations they're going. But we're going to have to get all of these folks at the table. And that was a very good interview, by the way, with the doctor from Laurel there that you had earlier, and the points that he made. And I'll say that one thing Singing River did, one thing that our hospital system did, was we're creating a new nursing program. And we're going to be training nurses right here in Jackson County, because you're absolutely right. If people are trained here and they put their roots down here, they're more likely to live here. So that all comes in with economic and workforce development. We're developing that workforce here at home, and I think we're going to see that pay off in the long run.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got tax credits. That was a bill for nurses, and then the hospital nurse retention loan repayment program, which just is state funds used to offset the cost of loans to get their various nursing credentials, degrees, and so forth. All good moves, but they're more long-term in nature. I mean, I think necessary to address the long-term outlook and the shortage of staff, but the short term, the urgent, the critical need is that everybody's concerned about, of course, are these hospitals that are cash flow negative, and it's concerns about some of them maybe even shutting down, with leaving areas without facilities. But you're right, there's been a shift to more ambulatory care, which used to be a huge revenue generator for hospitals, and now we've got these ambulatory surgical centers that have kind of sifted a lot of that sort of work away, sapped it away, and that's putting additional revenue pressure on the hospitals. School choice, you know that I'm affiliated with an organization, Empower Mississippi, full disclosure on that have been school choice advocates since the inception of the organization in 2014. We seem to really struggle in the legislature getting any meaningful school choice bills through. What do you think?
Well, I think we're going to see that shift. We're seeing that happen in other states around us, Arkansas and Florida. They've kind of jumped out there. I think Arizona maybe even recently did something where they allowed more school choice and allow parents the options to send their children to other schools or to get a voucher to send them to charter schools. And, charter schools, some people think of that as a word you don't use in the Capitol, but those are public schools as well. And what we're doing, and the reason I like those, and the reason I like school choice, is because in Mississippi we have too many children that are born into a situation where they live where there just aren't good schools. They're not able to get a good education, and their parents, it's silly for us to suggest, just pick up and move where you can go to better schools, because you can't do that. Parents can't do that. They can't leave their jobs and just uproot just to go get their kids a better education. And what school choice would allow is it allows those parents another option, and not just have their children stuck in kind of a no-win situation. So I think we'll see, and I hope that we'll see us transition to where we can have more options, whether it be cross-district lines or a voucher-type situation or a scholarship-type situation where you can take tax dollars per student and move those students to a new school, because we've really got to do something different here in Mississippi.
Yeah, agree. And you're right. I think we're seeing more states fall in line and adopt school choice measures and school choice policy, and it just feels like we're starting to lag a little bit in that department, especially with neighboring Arkansas passing sweeping school choice legislation here. One of the first big issues that newly elected Governor Huckabee Sanders got done. A big advocate, proponent, champion of that. Hopefully we can get that done. 2024, I know you got an election coming up first, but 2024, right around the corner. What's on your radar to address legislatively next year? I know you're going to get reelected, so what's up?
Well, I appreciate that. I certainly hope the good people of District 51 will vote me back in and send me back. Look, I want to see us keep working on the four pillars of what I think are the most important functions of government, that being infrastructure, education, safety, and healthcare, because those are the things that businesses look at whenever they want to move into the state of Mississippi, or when people want to locate to a community here within the state. That's what they look for. They want to have good infrastructure. They want to get their products out. They want to be safe when they're on the roads. They want to be safe at their homes and have a good police force. They want to have good health care. And again, they want to have good education. So there's a lot of things we can move forward on that. I'm really excited with where we're going right now with a lot of our career coaches and our workforce development in this state. So anything that I can do to help promote that and move that forward in 2024 is going to be very important for me, because that's always on my radar. If we're not attracting new businesses and preventing brain drain here in the state of Mississippi, we're not not doing what we're supposed to be doing. So that's going to be very important to me this next session and as long as I serve.
Yeah, agree. And again, I appreciate that we've been talking about that today. You may have heard us keeping the eye on the prize, and that's what we got to focus on right there, because everything in our state improves, gets better, creates more opportunity, a higher quality of life when we focus on those issues and make those better. And I hope that's what the legislature continues to look towards.
Yeah, that's right. And we've made good strides in the last several years under the leadership of Lieutenant Governor Delbert Hosemann and Governor Tate Reeves and, of course, Speaker Philip Gunn. We've made some good strides, but we can't get complacent with seeing good things happen. We've got to keep moving the ball forward and keep trying to make our state a better place for our kids and for everyone here. Get people to move here.
Appreciate it, Senator. Thanks so much for joining us, and also appreciate the easy question you threw at me during my lottery confirmation hearing. That was fun.
Absolutely. Hey, and I'm with you. And look, I got a lot of text messages that agree with you on that one.
Awesome.
REO Speedwagon to the Hall of Fame.
There you go. Appreciate it, Senator. We'll talk to you soon, my friend. Take care.